for Holy Spirit being in our midst today. God is a great God. He can do everything except fail. Amen. Let's give God a hand of praise today. Let's give God a hand of praise for Sister Anna Marie Horn for leading us in worship today. Thanks, Sister Brown, Clark, and Brother Hugh Clark for being with us this morning. God bless you. Sister Martha Miles, God bless you. God bless you. Give me Genesis chapter 41, verse 41. Just put that on the screen. Go to Genesis chapter 41. You can save that PowerPoint for another day. Genesis chapter 41, verse 41. First book of the Bible. You'll find these words. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have placed all of Egypt under your control." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have placed all of Egypt under your control." You may be seated. Don't break down before your breakthrough. Don't break down before your breakthrough. God speaks to this young man by the name of Joseph back in Genesis chapter 37. And in Genesis chapter 37, Joseph is 17 years old. Joseph is the favorite son of his father, Jacob. And at the age of 17, God speaks to Joseph in two dreams depicting his destiny. In the first dream, Joseph and his brothers are out in the field and they are dealing with some grain. And as they bundle up their grain, Joseph sees in his dream his brothers' sheaves of grain are bowing down to his sheaf. After having the dream, Joseph shared his dream with his brothers. And the Bible says that Joseph's brothers hated him because of his dream. But then Joseph receives another dream. And this time in this dream, Joseph sees the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. And in that dream, it was symbolic. God was showing him that one day not only his father, his mother, and his 11 brothers would have to pay homage and bow down to him. His brother hated him even more. But the Bible says his father Jacob pondered those things in his heart. There are some lessons that we can learn from the life of Joseph. First is that you can't share your dreams with everyone. And often those that you hope will encourage you and inspire you to fulfill and live your dreams are the very ones that are hating on you because of your dreams. You can't share your dreams with everyone. And the second lesson is this, that many times what God reveals to you will not come to pass at the place that he revealed it to you. And many have become frustrated because of the dreams and the revelations that God has deposited within them, that it's not coming to pass. It seems that no matter how hard they work on it, it has not come to pass. But God says, I gave you that dream. I gave you that insight, not for the place that you are at right now, but for the place that I am taking you later. And in the life of Joseph, we learn some very interesting things about life. Because when it comes to a dream from God, in the beginning, when God gives us the dream, when God gives us the vision, oftentimes we're very enthusiastic about the dream. We're enthusiastic about the vision. But there's one thing that God does not do. God never reveals what's going to take place in the middle. That God will give you the dream. He promises that he'll be with you through thick and thin. And sometimes he even shows you the outcome. But rarely does God show you the middle, the in-between, of what happens between when God spoke and when God performs. I've discovered in my own life that oftentimes before the dream becomes a reality, it can turn into an experiential nightmare. That after you've had the dream, after you shared the dream, that dream can soon turn into an experiential nightmare. And you begin to ask the question, was that God or was that the devil? And just because you are facing some tough times in your life, never forget what God said. Because God never promised that the road would be easy. But he did promise that I'll never leave you and I'll never forsake you. Many dreams, before they become reality, turn into nightmares. And it's during those experiential nightmarish seasons that we run the tendency of breaking down. I was on the highway a couple of days ago, and there was a car that was pulled over on the side of the highway, and someone was walking behind the car bringing a jug of gas. And so evidently the car had run out of gas. But it was amazing, just a few yards ahead was a gas station. And if that car could have just made it to the gas station, it would have been able to refuel and get on about its way. But many in our lives, because of the nightmarish seasons, we break down before we experience our breakthrough. And I serve a God of the breakthrough, that in spite of what it looks like right now, breakthrough is still in my horizon. And so in the life of Joseph, we see this young man at the age of 17 receives these dreams, these visions from God. But before they become a reality, he experiences some nightmarish situations. For after his brothers hear his dream, his brothers get jealous and they devise a scheme that we must get rid of our brother. And so they decide that as they were out doing some work for their father Jacob, Jacob sends Joseph to check on his brothers. But when his brothers see Joseph coming, they say, we're going to take his life because we're tired of this dreamer. And when we kill him, then we will see what will become of his dream. Children of God, hear me well. It's not that a lot of people don't like you, it's that they don't like your dream. And that's why you have to be careful of who you share your dream with. Dr. Martin Luther King was not killed because of who he was. Martin Luther King was killed because of the dream that God had birthed on the inside of you. And you have to understand that sometimes you find yourselves in a situation where sickness comes, where unemployment comes, where people begin to flee from your life. It's not that they are fleeing from you, it's because they are coming up against the dream that God has brought in your life. But if you can just hold on and not break down, breakthrough will happen in your life. Look at your neighbor and say, breakthrough is coming, breakthrough is coming, breakthrough is coming. But you will never experience the breakthrough if you break down. And life has a way of putting you in situations where you feel as though the only thing I can do right now is break down. Joseph had some experiences in his life. For his brothers saw him coming and they said, okay, we're going to kill him. But one of the brothers stood up and said, no, we're not. Let's not kill him. How can we do this thing? This is our own brother. But what we can do is that we can make it appear like he's dead. And his brothers ended up selling him into slavery. Can you imagine being sold out by your own brothers and sisters? Those whom you thought loved you and had your back sold you out because of the dream you shared with them. Well, who do you think you are? Ain't nobody in our family ever done anything like that. Why are you talking like that? That's foolishness. Listen, it may be foolish to you, but I know what God has placed on the inside of me, and I'm going to not allow it to die just because of your foolishness. And so we see here that Joseph is sold by his own brothers. He's sold into slavery. He was once a free young man, but because of his dream and his vindictive and jealous brothers, they sold him into slavery. You're talking about an experiential nightmare. That one day you're free and the next day you're a slave. And you're made a slave by those who are closest to you. So Joseph's saga says that Joseph is sold and he's purchased by a man by the name of Potiphar in Egypt. Potiphar is a wealthy man. He's on Pharaoh's staff, and Potiphar is a very wealthy man. And Joseph, a slave, is brought into the house of Potiphar as a slave, as a servant. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. He was free, but now he's a slave. But watch how God turns around nightmarish situations. Because even though Joseph was sold into slavery, even in the midst of Potiphar's house as a slave, God's favor showed up in Joseph's life. And Joseph was not treated like a slave in the house, but Joseph was treated like he was in charge. My brothers and sisters, let me help you understand something. That when God gives you a vision and God gives you a dream, no matter where you are, God's favor cannot be hidden. Joseph was sold. He was in a nightmarish situation, but Joseph did not allow the nightmare to break him down. And that's the word for somebody today. You came here this morning with your hands at the end of the rope, and all you've been doing is holding on, and the only reason you've been able to hold on is because you tied a knot at the end of the rope. But you just keep holding on, my brother. Keep holding on, my sister, because if you don't break down, your breakthrough And while he's operating in the house, the Bible says that everything in Potiphar's house was blessed on the account of Joseph. That everything his hands touched turned to gold. Potiphar's cows were blessed. His camels were blessed. Everything in Potiphar's house was blessed on the account of Joseph. And my brothers and sisters, when God gives you a dream, when God gives you a vision, and God places you in places, he places you there to be an asset and not a liability. You may have been wondering, well, I'm going through this nightmare because people don't like me and people don't get me. No, it's not that. It's because you have a track record of being a liability and not an asset. We need more assets and fewer liabilities. Ask your neighbor this question. Say, neighbor, are you an asset or a liability? In your home, are you an asset or a liability? On your job, are you an asset or are you a liability? In your community, are you an asset or a liability? Because if you are an asset, God can bless you in whatever situation you may find yourself in. Joseph is sold. He's working in the house of Potiphar, but as he's working, as he's doing his job, suddenly Miss Potiphar catches Joseph out of her eyes. She looks at Joseph and she looks him from head to toe. She said, that brother got it going on. And every day Joseph is walking in, Joseph walking out, Joseph walking in, Joseph is walking out. And Miss Potiphar begins to imagine, have some thoughts about herself and Joseph being alone. And the Bible says one day when Joseph comes into the house, all the other servants are gone, so it's only Joseph and Miss Potiphar. Brothers, hear me well. All right. Never allow your integrity to be challenged because you have placed yourself in an uncompromising position. Well, the Lord sent me. No, that ain't God. If you have to meet with any female, you make sure you take at least 1 or 2 witnesses with you. The Bible says, Miss Potiphar looks at Joseph and she says, Joseph, lie with me. Joseph said, listen, I can't do that. I can't, you fine and all, but I can't do that. Oh, you look good, but I can't do that. Listen, I know you got it here, you got it there, you got it here, but I can't do that. I cannot sin against God and my master. That's integrity. See what the world doesn't need another powerful individual. The world needs churchful Christian children of God who will walk in integrity. But I'm just a man. You are not just a man. You are God's man. You are God's child. And whatever you do reflects on your Father. Joseph said, I can't do this. I can't do this. And the Bible says Miss Potiphar grabbed Joseph, and Joseph wrestled his way out. But as he was wrestling his way out, she got his coat. Joseph runs out, and he's standing in the front lawn, and people began to come back to the house. And now that Mrs. Potiphar is ashamed and she's been rejected. And women, this is not bashing you, but brothers, you need to understand how this world is going. Then much of our judicial system is on the side of women. And so you have to be careful. Because the way you can tell this woman every day, I love you, and then once you decide to move on, there's nothing like a scorned woman. And because Miss Potiphar was scorned, when the workers began to show back up, she had his coat. And she immediately began to scream, rape! Rape! And can you imagine Joseph sitting out there and said, man, this thing is about to get real interesting. Not only have my brother sold me as a slave, but now I'm about to be brought up on some trumped up charges, no pun intended. When Mr. Potiphar gets home, he comes into the room and here she is laying down. Holding on to Joseph. That slave, that Hebrew you brought into this house. Look what he did to me. Did you bring him here to make sport of us? And Potiphar says, what happened? She said, he raped me. He tried to force himself on me, but when I screamed, he ran away. And I have proof. Yeah. Joseph was innocent. Yeah. But Potiphar sent him to prison. Joseph was innocent. Yeah. But Potiphar sent him to prison. Joseph was innocent. But he found himself imprisoned. Have you ever been in a position that you found yourself confined and imprisoned because you told the truth? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just preaching to myself this morning. That you stood up for righteousness. You told the truth. You didn't take the bribe. You didn't take the underhanded deal. But you stood up for truth and found yourself imprisoned, confined, and ostracized. And here Joseph, he finds himself in the prison, confined, because someone lied on him. Don't be surprised in life when folk lie on you. Don't be surprised when people lie on you. It's just a part of the experiential nightmare. Listen, my brothers and sisters, people only lie on those who are doing things. I mean, if you're not doing anything, you're not trying to go anywhere, you don't have any vision, you're a follower instead of a leader, ain't nobody gonna say anything about you. They ain't got time for you. But if you are seeking to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, if you are seeking to help the least of these, if you are living a life that is giving glory to God, folk will lie on you to try to discredit you, to break you down. But look at your neighbor and say, I won't break down. I won't break down. I won't break down. Joseph, let me hurry on. Joseph finds himself in a prison. He's confined. But just like I told you earlier, in Potiphar's house, Joseph was a slave, but the favor of God put him in control of the house. And now he's in prison, in a confined place. But God takes Joseph's confinement and enrolls him in a management in tough places class. He's in a jail cell. And the keeper of the jail recognizes something unique, something different in Joseph. And while Joseph was supposed to be being punished in the prison, the prison ward said, I'm going to leave the prison in your charge. Prison is a tough place. Been there one time, never want to go again. It's a tough place. But in a tough place, God says, based on your destiny that I have in store for you, you're going to find yourself in some tough situations. But before you get to where I'm going to take you, I got to enroll you in an elementary introductory class of how to execute management in tough places. While he's confined in a prison, he learns how to manage people in tough places. Okay, help me, Holy Spirit, because Trump opened the door and I'm about to run right on through it. Because years before I couldn't do this, but I can do it now until they say different. But I want you to win, sister. I want you to win. 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 I declare you will win. I declare you will win. I believe you will win. And here's the thing. I'm just authority, and I know what this place needs. I want you to win because you're a woman. And unapologetically, I can say I want you to win because you're black. Amen, like some walls. I ain't shaming my game. I ain't gotta be, ain't no shame in me. I want you to win. I declare you will win. But you won't win unless y'all go to the polls and exercise your right to vote. Oh, let me move on. Give me 3 more minutes. Because many of you are in situations right now that you're on the verge of breaking down. Because you're in a tough place. But you know what God has already said. But you have not seen what God has said come to fruition in your life. And you are experiencing, your dream has turned into a nightmare. And God says, if you just hold on and learn the lessons that I'm trying to teach you in your tough places, in your hurting places, the people that you've counted on, they can no longer be counted on nor trusted. And you feel abandoned, you feel misused. God says if you can just hold on, the lessons that I'm teaching you right now, once you pass those lessons, then you will be able to graduate to the next lesson. So Joseph is in prison. And he's experiencing, it's a nightmare. Oh, can you just imagine Joseph thinking about his dreams? All right. Oh, you said this is going to happen. You said this is going to happen. But here I am in a prison. But all the while, in Potiphar's house and in the prison, God never left him. God never left him. In those moments, my brothers and sisters, when you feel as though you're about to break down, remember, God is there. You may not feel like God is there, but God is right there. On your hospital bed, it may feel as though God is not there. He is there. He's right there with you. Even in the midst of the nightmares, God is still there. While Joseph is in prison, the Bible says that there's a baker and a cupbearer who are in prison as well. Both of them began to have dreams of their own, and they couldn't interpret the dreams, and Joseph said, tell me your dreams. They tell Joseph his dreams, and Joseph said, let me interpret your dreams. He said, baker, let me tell you what's going to happen to you. In a matter of days, you're going to be brought back up, and they're going to chop off your head. The cupbearer said, in a matter of 3 days, you're going to be restored to your former place as Pharaoh's cupbearer. And just as Joseph had interpreted, it came to pass. But Joseph told the cupbearer, he said, listen, now that I've interpreted your dream, that when the Lord restores you and places you right back in your position of authority with the Pharaoh, remember me. So I'm not asking for a handout. All I want you to do is remember me. And just as Joseph had interpreted, the baker brought out of prison, cupbearer was restored to his position with Pharaoh. But the cupbearer forgot all about the one that helped him when he was in confinement. And that's where many folk break down. That's where many people lose it. Because while you were both struggling and you did everything you could to help lift somebody up, once they were lifted, they forgot all about you. That's why my grandmother and them used to always remind us, don't forget where you come from. Because you have not made it where you are by yourself. You are standing on the shoulders of other men, women, people who have been downtrodden, people who have been misused. Don't forget where your help has come from. The Bible says he forgot all about Joseph. Now, Joseph could have been out of that prison just like that after the cupbearer was elevated. But the Bible says that Joseph ends up spending 2 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, and he could have received an early release program if someone else that he'd helped had just spoken up on his behalf. Wow. Have you ever been forgotten? I mean, you're looking around and folk giving thanks to everybody else. I want to thank Cousin Junebud. I want to thank Willie. I want to thank this person and thank this person. And you're looking around like, where were all those folk there when I was giving you $50 here to get some groceries in your refrigerator? Where were those folk when I was giving you a ride? Where were they? Where were they? And you just feel forgotten. And many break down as a result of being forgotten. But hear me well, my brothers and sisters. You don't have to break down when people forget you. Because God has a way of never wasting the good that you've done for other folk. That God has a way of orchestrating circumstances to the point that people have to start remembering your name. Oh, help me, Holy Spirit, to wrap this up. Help me to wrap this up. The Bible says that Potiphar, Pharaoh, has a dream. And Pharaoh sees in his dream some cows grazing, and then he sees some more cows come and devour those cows, and Pharaoh waking up, oh! And Pharaoh begins to go all over Egypt, asking people, interpret this dream, interpret this dream, interpret this dream. And no one could interpret Pharaoh's dream. Day after day, Pharaoh has been haunted by these nightmares. He cannot understand what the dreams mean. And day after day, the cupbearer standing there, pouring the drink, sipping the drink, handing the drink to Pharaoh. And he sees Pharaoh just miserable, asking folks to interpret the dream. And nobody can interpret the dream until one day the cupbearer says, oh, wait a minute. I remember when I was in prison, there was a young lad there that interpreted my dream. And he goes to Pharaoh and says, oh, forgive me, Pharaoh. Listen, I'm wrong, man. Please forgive me. But listen, there's a brother that's locked up. And when I was locked up with him, he interpreted my dream. And what he said, it came to pass. I'm standing here right now with you with my head, and I'm doing the job that you called me to do. That brother interpreted the dream. I forgot about it, but I remember him now. Don't break down because people forget you, because God has a way of orchestrating circumstances that those who forgot you will be the very ones who put your name in to see you elevated. That's what the Bible means when it says he will make a table for me in the presence of my enemies. And guess who will put the food on the table? Your enemies. Folk who forgot about you. Don't break down because your breakthrough. All right. It's coming. In Genesis chapter 37, Joseph is 17 years old. But in Genesis chapter 41, verse 41, Pharaoh says to Joseph, Joseph, check this out. Because you have interpreted my dream. And the dream that Pharaoh had was a dream about 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And after Joseph interpreted the dream, He says, listen, what y'all need to do, Pharaoh, check this out. Never, hey, always show what you know to get the job you want. Joseph said, listen, what y'all need to do, Pharaoh, if I may, is we know that 7 years of plenty are going to come. So what you need to do is you need to set up a system where during these 7 years you don't eat it all. That you pay careful attention to detail, that you store a harvest during this time of plenty. So when the lean years come, you'll have enough to take care of the people in the family. He said, listen, Pharaoh, I'm not telling y'all what to, but this is what I advise. You ask me for my interpretation. Let me give you what I believe will work. Let me give you, this bit of information. This will work, Pharaoh. Pharaoh starts looking around, looking at all his other attendants, and everybody saying, yep. Because no one in the circle came up with that idea. Look at your neighbor and say, don't despise your ideas. You are one idea away from your breakthrough. You are one idea away from your harvest. Instead of praying for more money, pray that God will give you an idea. It's ideas that are changing the world. The great inventions, the great stories of our history of the world were made by great men and women who stood up on the idea that had been given to them. I'm in Bible country. There was a woman who had an issue of blood. And she'd been suffering with that issue of blood for 12 long years. And the Bible says that no matter what she did, no matter how many doctors she went to, her condition never got better. But she heard that a man named Jesus was passing by. And as she heard the good news about Jesus, heaven downloaded an idea in her. And that idea was, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. That one idea produced breakthrough in her life. That one idea performed a miracle in her life. You are one idea away from your breakthrough. I'm through. But after Joseph gives Pharaoh a plan, the Bible says, Pharaoh looks around. Everybody saying, that brother right. I don't know where you get all that wisdom from, but that brother right. And Pharaoh said, we don't have to look around for who we're going to put in this position. It's you. You got the revelation. You have the idea. And although you are a Hebrew, although you have found yourself in some slave situations, although you have been locked up behind prison bars, we're not looking at what you've been through. We're looking at what God is bringing you to. And you need to hear me today, Pilgrim Rest. Stop putting all your attention on what you've gone through and thank God for what he's brought you to, because what he brought you to is a testimony of what your breakthrough is going to be. Somebody shout, breakthrough! Breakthrough! I receive my breakthrough! I'm done. Sit down. Listen, don't throw me that towel, please. Genesis chapter 37, he's 17 years old. Genesis 41, he's 30 years old. Genesis chapter 37, 17-year-old, he gets the dream. He's happy. Woo, 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 woo. Genesis 41, he's elevated. But now he's 30. 17, 30. Beginning, manifestation. Hell. Nightmares. Being lied on. Being falsely accused. Being forgotten. Wanting to break down. But when you feel like breaking down, look to the hills from which cometh your help. Because all your help comes from God. You're nightmares. Circumstance after circumstance that presented Joseph an opportunity to break down. But he kept holding on. He kept holding on. Many of us break down because we start to feel that God is taking. We began to look at everyone else's lives and we see the end result, never taking into account their story. We start saying stuff like, I wish I could be like him. I wish I could be like her. I wish I could preach like him. Be careful what you ask for. You don't know what I've had to go through to get this power. You don't know what I've had to go through to get this anointing. You don't know how many times I've had to turn the cheek and turn it again and turn it again and turn it again. You don't know what I've been through to get to where I am. I felt like breaking down. I felt like giving up. But I declare today, I'm not going to break down. I'm not going to break up because I'm getting ready for my breakthrough. Don't break down before your breakthrough. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Hold on to God because he won't let go of you. I'm telling you, he's able. And he's able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above all that you can ask or even imagine. Don't break down. Don't give up. There's nothing wrong with feeling like you're going to break down. Just don't break down. Don't break down. The Bible declares and promises, makes a declaration of our lives that we are the head and not the tail. You may feel as though you are the tail, and circumstances in your life may look like you're the tail, but don't you say I'm the tail. You say about you what God says about you. I'm the head, and I know I'm dealing with some tailless situation, some tailless folk, but I'm not the tail, I'm the head because God says I'm the head. The Bible says we should be the lenders and not the borrowers. And everything in your life, you're paying everything with credit cards, with high interest rates. You're borrowing one week after another to make ends meet. And although your circumstances look like the borrower, stop saying I'm the borrower. Begin to declare what God says about you. I am the lender. You will have what you say. For God has a plan for your life. It's a good plan. It's a plan to prosper you, to give you a future and a hope. But the only way you will enjoy that hope is that you cannot break down before